Welcome to the HITea with Grace podcast, where we spill the tea on HITea. I'm honored to welcome Lilly Stairs, founder at Chronic Boss Collective and Patient Authentic. Lilly, thanks for joining me.
Grace, thank you so much for having me. So good to be here with a fellow Bostonian.
I couldn't even believe it. So Lilly and I have been trying to get together. We're basically neighbors for a while. So we thought, why not do a podcast, right? So you are just hanging out with us today, ladies, and just sit back and enjoy the ride. Lilly, tell us a little bit about the journey that brought you to founding Chronic Boss Collective. I would love to hear about it.
Yeah. So it really all started in a hospital bed. I had just been diagnosed with Crohn's disease and psoriatic arthritis within about a 6-month span. I was 19. I remember pulling out my laptop to Google the conditions, and the term autoimmune came up. And I never heard the term in my life. And I was really angry because there are over 50 million Americans who are living with an autoimmune condition, but there's such little awareness for it and research and funding and all of the things. And so I didn't really know what a patient advocate was at that time, but I truly in that moment became one. And from then on, I've spent over a decade now working across the healthcare ecosystem in the patient advocacy space. In 2020, I founded Patient Authentic, my first business, which is a boutique consultancy. We partner with pharmaceutical companies to build programming and events that empower and educate patient advocates. And then a few years later in 2023, I'm still running Patient Authentic, still running it to this day. But there had been something on my heart for a long time. And that was that I was meeting all of these really remarkable women through my work who, because I would wear my conditions on my sleeve, they would approach me and say, hey, I'm also living with an autoimmune condition, or I have depression, or I have cancer. But they're doing all of these amazing things and they're totally rocking it in their careers. And they are these resilient, ambitious, and women who care, who give back. And so I just thought, what if we could get all of these women in a room together? How powerful that would be. And
I have tears on my eyes right now about this. Like, how powerful could it be? Oh, tell me more about it. Oh.
Yeah. So you think about that. The support groups exist, right? And there is a total purpose for them, and they are very important. They play an important role in patient communities. For me, it was not something that I jived with because I've always been an ambitious businesswoman. I'm a mover and a shaker. And I said, I'm living with these conditions and I am going to have a big career. And so I love these on the other side. I love women's networking groups. I'm a part of a number of them in the Boston area. And I thought, why can't I combine these two concepts? And that's really how the Chronic Boss Collective was born. And we serve as a space for ambitious businesswomen with chronic conditions to really dream big in their careers while prioritizing their health.
I love this. This is so critical. I was actually misdiagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I had that moment happen where I was like, I don't know what's going on. I did join a chronic condition support group, and it was very much like, okay, this sickness defines me now. And I like that you're kind of taking this, and it was helpful to have others that were experiencing the same symptoms and talk through things and work through the pain management and all that comes with it and get some advice. But you're right. It's not like, okay, now not only is this like something that's happening with you, but it's your superpower. So tell me about like flipping the script on what it means to live with a chronic condition and be ambitious and wonderful and supporting others in their ambitions during this process. Can you share some, personal insights on how the mindset shift impacted your life and inspired others too?
Yeah. So I'm so big on this concept of flipping the script on what it means to live with a chronic condition, because we often think when we are diagnosed that it's a weakness, and society tells us it's a weakness. That's the automatic response. But actually, there's a lot that our chronic conditions give us, a lot of traits that we learn and we grow from. So resilience, adaptability, relatability. And so I would always, from the time that I was an intern all the way up until I started my own company, I would disclose in job interviews. I would come right out and say it. I was owning the narrative. And I framed it in a way that worked for me. So I would say, yes, I'm living with these autoimmune conditions. And what makes me really a great fit for this role is because I am able to, and I should give the context here that I worked in life science communications and advocacy previously. So I was able to talk about how I can authentically connect with the patient community because I have these lived experiences. And so that's going to make me a really strong fit for the position. And so another example I like to give, if you're not somebody who's working in the life sciences patient advocacy space, because there's a clear parallel there, right? A lot of us living with chronic conditions, we learn adaptability. You never know when the other shoe is going to drop. That's an incredible asset to a small nonprofit or to a startup where things are changing by the day and you have to wear a lot of different hats and you never know what's going to happen. And so that's a place where you can kind of come in and say, hey, yeah, I've actually learned adaptability through living with a chronic condition. And here's how it applies to my work with you and how I could really make an impact.
So interesting. What other stigmas and stereotypes do you find that collectively the folks that are in the Chronic Boss Collective are experiencing in the workplace?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to hear everybody's different experiences. So it depends. I think a lot of folks when people find out about it, sometimes they're like, oh gosh, they don't know how to handle it, right? They don't always know how to handle when somebody's living with a chronic condition. And so, and there's not always the right accommodations being made, but we encourage people to really fight for what they deserve as a person living with a chronic condition and to understand what are your non-negotiables, what are your boundaries, what are your needs, and communicating that and finding a middle ground in a way that works for you, in a way that works for the company.
It makes sense because it does seem like there may be certain things that you have to do to navigate professional spaces generally, in addition to the types of work. What are some of the typical pieces of advice you give folks when they say, like, how do I even start like this conversation with my work or with my place that I'm going to work about this?
Yeah, so it depends on your approach, right? If you are somebody who wants to come out and own the narrative, that's always what I suggest, just because then you get to frame how everything looks and you can frame it in that positive light. Not everybody's comfortable with that, and that's okay. And so there are other ways to have more delicate conversations around it, maybe more private conversations with HR. The big thing that I do encourage, the biggest piece of advice is figure out what are your top needs. So if you're a person who you have brain fog in the morning, you're not somebody who performs well in the morning, maybe don't work for a company that wants you sitting at a desk at 9 a.m. and you're there until 5 or 6 or 7 p.m. Work for a company that values the outcome versus the time put in, and they're flexible on time. If you're immunocompromised, you don't want to be exposed to germs, you prefer to work remote, looking for remote options. So figuring out how does your chronic condition impact how you work, and then being able to articulate that to the company, understanding that these are businesses, right? They do have to be able to have outcomes and to make money and to do all of those things. And so how do you fit into that? How can you contribute? But just sharing on your own terms and having open conversations about that.
Really, really interesting. So, you talk about how the Chronic Boss Collective is, it's a unique offering that hasn't existed before. Can you share a little bit about the platform that you do offer and how you connect people together and how it kind of gets through some of that BS and fosters deeper connection?
Yeah. So we are the first and only international network for ambitious businesswomen living with chronic conditions. Nothing like this exists currently. We sit at 3 pillars. So professional development, wellness, and connection. We offer a series of events around each of these topics every month. And we do a mastermind. We do some of our what we call boss boosts or our professional development. So we've done building your brand and how to negotiate your salary. For wellness, we're going to do face masks with Indy Lee, Indy Lee is one of our members, and she's amazing. She runs a clean beauty line, and so everybody's going to get some like face masks. We're going to do that. Mindful meditation. So those are some of the different types of events. What though is really special, I think, about the collective is the networking and connection piece, because when we think about networking, and it's so important. I always say your network is your net worth. My network is the reason I am where I am in my career. And I imagine that's the case for you too, Grace. You have
Oh, girl, you know.
You have the best network. And so it's huge. But I actually, truthfully, sometimes get really bored by networking because so much of it is surface level. So if you go to an event and you're looking at a name badge and it's like, name, title, and like, you don't really talk beyond that to a person. We just cut through all that BS in the collective because everybody is connecting at a point of vulnerability. And when you connect at a point of mutual vulnerability, that you're going deep quick. And that expedites trust and builds trust. Trust is the foundation of a strong relationship. And we know that strong relationships drive positive business outcomes. And so that's what's happening in the collective, is that these women are connecting at this point of vulnerability, they're building trust, and they're building relationships, and they are giving each other business. It's been about 3 months that the collective has officially been up and running, and we have already seen several members who are giving each other business. They're teaming up to work on projects together, and they are saying that being a part of this group has been life-giving and life-changing for them, both in their health and in their business.
It's about more than just connecting over work. It's about connecting over what's impacting you as a human and in your whole life, and sharing that experience with others who are experiencing that too, and saying, enough's enough. We're going to turn this pain into purpose, and let's go, right? And let's go. Let's raise arms, right? Do you have any specific examples of, partnerships or things that have happened because of the collective that you're like, oh, I just love that happened, or I just love that person met that person, and I can't believe we inspired that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many. And I keep hearing about new ones every day. So I know that we had one of our members who's all the way in DC, she hired one of our members in Boston to style her for Rare Disease Week, which was awesome. One of our members is a stylist, so they teamed up for that. And then we have 2 members who are they're teaming up to develop a mental health resource guide. For one of them is a therapist, and one of them works to do permanent makeup. And so they got to talking about how when you go to your hairdresser or your nail tech or your permanent makeup artist, it often can be like a therapy session, and people will unload. And so how do you give those people who are providing those services tools to protect their own mental health and then to be able to support others? So they're teaming up to develop that, which is really amazing. So many. We have another person who's hired. One member is starting a business and was looking for support in branding. And so we have, she hired one of our branding experts and graphic designers to be pulling together a brand for her. So it's just been amazing.
I love that it's cross-industry, because really what's bringing people together is the thing that's holding them, that others think should hold them back, or, they know that it's one of their superpowers, but others feel it should be. And then yet they're from all over the world in any industry. And that's kind of interesting is that cross-industry collaboration. Like, what has kind of been your feelings seeing that? Like, you kind of expect maybe healthcare people work in, but seeing how many different types of people are coming, it must be interesting to you.
So interesting. And I love, because I've been so in healthcare personally for so long, that it's fascinating for me to be learning from others. And there's so much we can learn from other people in different industries. I'm actually always saying within healthcare, we need to be looking to other industries for advice on how we work with patients. How we work with patients, how we deliver services. And so there's so much of that happening. And when we're doing skill sharing, people are learning so much. We've got somebody who works in wealth management and is going to be able to give everybody, but we have a boss boost coming up on, how to manage your finances and how to build wealth. I mean, it's so interesting. And yes, to your point, it is international. We have members in Australia, in the UK, and Canada. It's been interesting to also see those perspectives and, what it looks like, what living with a chronic condition and working looks like in some of those areas. And so I think there's been a nice exchange of tips and tricks because of that as well.
Oh, I love it. I'm obsessed with this, and I'm obsessed with you. You're amazing, Lilly. Thank you for coming and sharing.
Well, right back at you, Grace.
Awesome. So, what are your aspirations for the future of Chronic Boss Collective, and how do you envision it continuing to evolve and make a positive impact that you're making even now?
Yeah, so I have really, really, really big aspirations to scale this up big.
As you should.
There's such a huge opportunity here. There are so many of us. So 60% of people in the US alone are living with one or more chronic conditions. And I don't even think that includes, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think that includes mental health. And we're inclusive of, when I say chronic conditions, a lot of people think something physical, like an autoimmune condition, but we are inclusive of mental health, because mental health is a chronic condition. It's something that you live with every day that impacts the way you show up to work. It is chronic. ADHD, neurodivergence, cancer. Cancer is now in many cases a chronic condition, as you know. And so there's just, we have a really broad range. There's a lot of us. And like I said, it takes a really special type of person who is living with a chronic condition and chooses ambition. And these are people who are giving back. They want to make an impact and see change in the world. And so there's a lot of us. So I can't wait to scale it up big. So there's going to be different arms, right? We have our membership. We already have a scholarship as well. The scholarship is for young women in high school and college. It's called the Chronic Boss Scholarship. I actually started that before I started the collective. We've awarded over $30,000 to 30 young women who are living with a chronic condition and have an entrepreneurial spirit. So they've started something. We've got, published at the time when she won the scholarship, she was 17. She had 3 published books. Living with Graves' disease.
Amazing.
Amazing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can build this up, and I can't wait to make it happen.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. And we can't wait to cheer you on and keep sharing all the great successes that you continue to make with it. So, we want to also understand you as a person. We love to talk shop, but we also, as part of this community, want to learn from you as a leader and things that you do to work your best and make a difference. So, living with a chronic condition, what are habits that you have done, or diets, or anything that has really helped boost your ability to work your best at the top of your game?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's probably changed over the years. I'm so big on, number one, sleep. I do not compromise my sleep. It is 7 to 8 hours every night. That is so important. I think my biggest one right now, and this has been really hard for me, and if I'm being honest, I'm still learning how to do it every day. It is setting boundaries and saying no. I am not good at saying no. I'm a huge people pleaser. And what's happened is that because we're building this really big community and it's so exciting, I constantly feel like I have people coming at me from Instagram DMs, LinkedIn DMs, our own private community. And it actually has thrown me into a state of overwhelm. And so I've been trying to learn, and I'm just being very vulnerable and honest here. I've been trying to learn, okay, what are the things that I absolutely need to do to drive the business forward? And where do I need to start saying no so that I can protect my health and my energy? And I think that's important. I think as women, it's something a lot of us struggle to do.
It's so true. I mean, can I just pick your brain on this? Can I just pick your brain on that? Give me your time for free. And the time itself costs so much, when you're trying to build something. And so, really protecting that is so critical. And people don't realize it. It's if in the start of your career, you want to say yes to everything, right? Just throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. And then at some point you have to say, okay, well, what can I do to help just others succeed while also protecting my strength and what I can actually do in the amount of hours that I have in the day.
Yes, that what you just said resonates so much with me. Because I feel like there are a lot of folks who will reach out and say, "Can I pick your brain?" And to all of those people, I know you're coming from a great place, right? I know that you want to learn, and I'm honored that you want to chat with me. But I think what people don't always realize is that when you're constantly getting those messages, 15, 20, 30 minutes adds up when you have a lot of people who are reaching out. And so you do have to be sensitive to that and make sure. And because if I just took all of those calls for every person who reached out to me, I would not be able to drive my business forward. I wouldn't have the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think, I experience the same, and so many women leaders I know say the same thing. It's just only so many hours in the day. Kind of diving even deeper, what are strategies you've put in your life that have helped you overcome the hard stuff? We all get hit hard by life, and whether it's health, which is just, it's so hard to work on everything else when you're dealing with your health, right? And whatever it is, mental health, families dying, people dying around you, and it's hard. Life is hard. So what are things that you do to kind of help keep your resilience up?
Yeah, another great question. And it's very timely because I have been really in a sprint the past couple months, and it's put a drain on me. And so I've had to activate some of these tools. One is therapy. I love therapy. It's so important. It's been so amazing for me in helping me build some of those tools and mindset and adaptability to be able to manage some of the challenges that come my way. I also love reading. I just pulled out some of my books that have inspiration. Young Pueblo, he has some great inward and clarity and connection. I like reading some of his prose because sometimes it just comes up and it resonates. And one of them was actually recently, I opened the book, and I won't be able to say it word for word, but essentially it was saying that we have, in this modern society, we have messages coming at us on text messages, emails all the time, and humans aren't designed to respond right away to that. We're sort of overstimulated now. And so giving people grace to give them some response time. We're not machines. Giving yourself grace that you don't need to always respond to everything right away. So look at therapy, pros, and then also my network, my people who I can lean on and I can vent to. My close family and friends have been an amazing support.
I love that. I love that. And a last question on this. If you could give your younger self a piece of advice, whether it be personal or professional, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a big question. I think that in keeping with the theme of what we've just been talking about, because I'm sure there are a million different pieces of advice that I would give my younger self, but I would say block out the noise, stay laser focused on your vision, and trust your gut, because your gut is right. You know where you want to go. Let that be your North Star.
So inspiring. I know a lot of you are listening in like, yes, girl. Yes, I take that. And that is my mantra now. So I love it. So to finish off the conversation, right, where can our listeners find you online and connect with Chronic Boss Collective if they want to get involved?
Yeah. Okay. So you can find me and Chronic Boss on Instagram. We're at Chronic Boss Co. I'm at Lilly Stairs, Lilly with 2 L's, stairs like going up and down. And then you can find me on LinkedIn and also Chronic Boss on LinkedIn. And we are actually going to be opening enrollment for a new cohort in the spring. So please do apply. We'd love to have you as a member. And if you miss the spring enrollment, we open again in the fall, and we have a few cycles each year. So we'd love to have you, and I look forward to meeting you.
That's terrific. Now, before I forget, did you happen to bring tea with you today?
Okay, so I did, but it's actually coffee, not tea.
Oh, that's great. So tell me about your mug or the types of coffee you drink.
Well, yeah. Okay. I also love tea, and typically I would not be drinking because now we're in afternoon and I don't typically drink coffee. But like I said, it's been a sprint this month. So I am having a little bit more coffee than usual. I got an espresso for Christmas. And so this is a vanilla bean espresso, Nespresso. It's delicious and I love it. And this mug is, I think it's courtesy of TJ Maxx Marshalls.
It looks like it was made like by a potter or something. It's so beautiful. And yet it has blue and white pretty flowers. Like
that's what I should have said. I should have said like it was this bespoke like that I got when I was in Portugal.
It looks literally like someone in Portugal made it.
Okay, well, I am a big Maxxinista, so I do love my TJ Maxx and Marshalls for those who live in the area.
I love it. Yeah, you gotta find those deals. It's fantastic. Yeah. Well, Lilly, it was great to have you on the show today. Thanks for joining us and just being so generous with your wisdom. And I'm just excited to follow your journey and where Chronic Boss Collective goes.
Thank you, Grace. And thank you for all that you do for women in healthcare, because we need to elevate female voices. And you have done a remarkable job with that for many years now. And you are an inspiration to me. So thank you for all that you do.
Now I have tears in my eyes. I love it. I love it. And now that we know that we're neighbors, we are going to have to get together for real tea, IRL.
Can't wait.
And thanks to you folks for joining us too. Check out the HITea with Grace podcast website for more great guests like Lilly today. Cheers.
Cheers.
Like a Girl Media is more than a media network. It's a community. We want to meet you and amplify your voice and the voices of outstanding women innovating in healthcare. Interested in starting your own podcast or hosting an event near you? Connect with us online or in person. We're here to support and empower you.